But Brandon, let's end the podcast like we always do. Well, I say end the podcast. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, I say this every week. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, we're ending the podcast. If you're on YouTube, hey guys, it's great to see you this week because this is the first segment that goes up on YouTube because we want to get our picks out there so you guys see them all. And that's why we put that out first. So hello, it's great to see you guys this week, even though on Blog Talk Radio, we're ending the podcast. We've been talking to you guys for a while now, and we're ending our picks. We're looking at games, and originally, Brandon, I was ready to say the first one, 0-6 UMass against 5-0 South Florida. However, that game's been canceled. So what we are going to start with, the Friday night matchup, the 6 p.m. matchup here in Central Time Zone. Number 2, Clemson at the 3-3 unranked Syracuse Orange. Clemson is a 22.5-point favorite. Who do you got, the Tigers or the Orange?
And in this one, they may not have Kelly Bryant.
They may not. You are correct.
We're not sure yet. I haven't seen exactly what's going to be happening in this game. Either way, I don't think it matters. Clemson's going to get the win here. They continue to just look pretty darn good each and every week. And I know that you were really pulling for Wake Forest last week.
I was. I was. Even though I picked Clemson, a little bit of me pulls for them. Little bit of me, but no, you got to pick the Tigers in this one. I would love to be able to be successfully like, yeah, Syracuse will win, but this is football, not basketball. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Clemson to defeat Syracuse on the road in the Carrier Dome. Then the other Friday night matchup, 9:30 Central Time, Washington State, 8th team in the country. They are a 13.5-point favorite going into Berkeley to play the Cal Golden Bears. Who do you got? You got the Cougs, you got the Bears. Who you got?
Well, Washington State and Luke Falk. Luke Falk already has 2,000 yards on the season with 19 touchdowns, which is outrageous.
People are also giving us shit on our last conversation we had at the beginning, like during the offseason, how we said Luke Falk is on the outside looking in when it comes to the quarterbacks in this year's draft class. Already people are giving us flack for saying he's on the outside with how well he's done this season.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. He's positioned himself in a good spot, so those people would probably be right for us dummies to get him, to open up the door, let him come inside, and then he can look out at everybody else. But Washington State, 6-0. Cal actually gave USC a pretty good game when they played them, but I think Washington State will handle Cal with relative ease and get the win.
Yet again, I cannot pick against you. This is a Cal team that had played our Washington State team I'm looking at. They beat the Trojans. They went into Oregon and just demolished the Oregon Ducks. They've beaten everyone in their path. Only close games were to Boise State, which I believe week 2 of the season you picked Boise State.
Yeah, and Boise State should have beat them. I'm not going to lie to you.
To win that game, but I'm going to go with the Cougs in this one. Can't go away. Hashtag go Cougs when it comes to them against Cal. Then we got the Saturday games. The first one kicking it off, team we talked about earlier in the podcast, TCU, number 6 going on the road, trying to stay undefeated against the KSU Thundercats. Who do you got? TCU, 4.5-point favorite.
They go on the road, but Gary Patterson's defense has been something else this year. They've been very special. They've been very good. And I think even though TCU goes on the road, they'll go to 6-0 in this one. It will be a very good game, but look for TCU and Kenny Hill to get the win.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same route of it. Might be a closer game than many expect because the Thundercats are no joke. However, I'm going to pick TCU and the Horned Frogs to get the win. Then we're moving Big Ten action. Michigan at 4-1 trying to get back on track, ranked 17th. Touchdown favorites against Indiana in Indiana. Who do you got?
You know, in this one, I almost want to pick an upset here, but Michigan...
You're hovering over that button.
I am. I am just hovering a little bit, but I'm not going to do it. Michigan, after the loss to Michigan State, they're going to go on the road into Indiana, and I think just light them up. I think they're going to be upset.
Light them up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I want to hit upset, but since I'm not hitting upset, I'm saying they light them up.
I think it's a scare. I think for like 2 or 3 quarters, it's a scare, and then Michigan pulls away late. That's a typical Michigan-Indiana game.
I would say, but oddly enough, though, I feel like that's a lot of Michigan games.
A lot of, yeah. Maybe it's just how Jim Harbaugh is.
It's like they'll be down 17-0, 10-0. then all of a sudden they come storming back in the third, fourth quarter.
No, that's
a lot of the time.
It seems that's a typical Michigan-Indiana game. I think we get the same thing. First half, Michigan fans are mad, and then Michigan pulls away from Indiana in the second half. Then our next game, we've got NC State. Talked about them earlier in the podcast, ranked 20th. Going into Pitt 2-4 this year. The Wolfpack 12-point favorites. Who do you got in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
I like NC State. I think Pittsburgh's really struggled this year, and NC State has brought their A game so far in this season. Their defense has been really good that we talked about, like you mentioned. They're 3-0 in the ACC. Make it 4-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same thing. Not going to go upset here. Ryan Finley, 10 touchdowns, no picks. I think he continues that. Doesn't throw a single interception in this game. Then the next one, 24 Texas Tech going on the road against West Virginia. And Brandon, the line might say West Virginia 3.5 as we're here on Monday, but because West Virginia is unranked, I'm hitting the button. Upset special. Mountaineers beating the Red Raiders in West Virginia.
I have got to go with West Virginia.
I thought we were going to disagree there. I thought that was one I was going to get you.
I've got to go for West Virginia here because...
Hit that button. You got to hit the button. It's an upset.
We need a freaking button here. I said I was going to...
Patreon.com/Most Podcast. Get us a button. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We love you.
Or we could just go and get this, like I said the last time, we go and get the staple button instead of...
we got to get an MVP. We got to get an MVP upset special.
Instead of that was easy... upset special.
Yeah, just bam, upset specials.
I think I'll throw it against the wall. I think
we just do
if
that.
It does that.
We hit the button and it just says upset special. I think we got something there.
I love it.
It's got the MVP logo on it. I think we can do that.
Anyways, West Virginia wins. Texas Tech, they like to score a lot of points, but I think West Virginia is going to be able to hold them down a little bit with their defense. Believe it or not, I just said defense in the Big 12. I think West Virginia gets the win at home.
Now, this one could be an upset special for Brandon because he does like the Boilermakers this year. Purdue at number 7, Wisconsin. Wisconsin, 16-point favorite. Who you got?
Let me tell you, I thought about it. I've liked Purdue a lot more this year.
They almost beat Louisville. In your mind, should have beat Louisville.
They should have. They should have. In their mind, they might as well just count it as a win. They're 4-1. But Wisconsin gets the win. Wisconsin at Camp Randall, they don't lose. They're going to get the win, but Purdue plays them tough.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Wisconsin as well. Purdue, I don't know if it's as tough as you think it might be, but I think the Badgers get the win. Then the next one, this is the interesting one. Auburn, ranked 10th, going into LSU. LSU, I don't know how to think about them. They get the win last week. Am I going to overreact and hit the button? Auburn is 6.5-point favorites, but I push the button to the side and I go Auburn over LSU. I do not overreact to the Tigers beating the Florida Skaters last week.
You know what? I thought that LSU had a really, really good win last week. They went on the road into Florida. It was Florida's homecoming. They played really, really well. And let me tell you what, is that it was the running game and the defense that did it. I am still so not sold on Danny Etling. He is not good. He is the definition of clock. He's a game manager. That's it. He's like a clock controller.
Say it one more time. He's the what? The word you used. He's the what of a game manager?
I don't know.
The definition.
Oh.
Because you kept saying it a lot.
Oh.
You kept saying definition.
Well, I wanted people to know that he's the definition of a game manager. That's all he is.
Brandon looks like, what are you talking about, Ricky?
What word did I say multiple times? I forgot already.
Usually Brandon thinks I'm off my rocker anyways. But yeah, Auburn with the win.
So I'm going to say Auburn. But LSU, and I know people are going to say, well, that's just LSU football. They don't really have a quarterback. They just have running backs. Well, right now, Darius Geis is not 100% healthy. He's not looking like, himself at what he did, just a year ago or 2 years ago. And, it's not helping you that you don't have a quarterback that you can lean on, and you have to basically run it every play. The shifts worked really well the last week, but Auburn in their offense is starting to come alive a little bit. So I've got to go Auburn, even though they go on the road.
Next game we've got, this was supposed to be our first pick of the week. The game was supposed to be on Thursday. rescheduled to Saturday. Right now, at this point, as we're recording this on Monday, there is no line set on the ESPN, so it's a straight pick 'em. Who do you got, 3-1 Georgia Tech or the 11th ranked undefeated Miami Hurricanes?
We talked about Miami and their defense earlier in this podcast, and what I think is interesting is that Georgia Tech, with the style that they run, Miami's going to have themselves a little bit of a test here with Georgia Tech. I still think that Miami is going to get the win and go to 5-0 on the season. They're at home. That's very, very good at Hard Rock Stadium. But Georgia Tech, they're a team that keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game, but Miami gets the win. I think they keep going undefeated and stay on track to possibly play Clemson in that ACC title game. Then we have the Red River rivalry in Dallas, Texas, the Cotton Bowl, and we've got number 12 Oklahoma coming off of an upset loss. We've got 3-2 Texas undefeated in the Big 12. Brandon, Oklahoma might be 7.5-point favorites, but guess what? Texas with the win in overtime by a touchdown.
I'm not surprised that you did that.
Upset special, baby.
I was thinking about it myself.
The first true upset special.
Because it's at Texas, and Texas had a big win of their own last week against K-State. I'm still going to go with Oklahoma, but this is going to be a very tightly contested game throughout, and Oklahoma is still going to be trying to shake off some of the shock from last week.
This is going to be
Oklahoma with the win.
This is going to be a big statement game for Tom Herman and his head coaching career with the Longhorns. You can book it. Then the next game I think is easy. You got the number 14 Oklahoma State Cowboys coming in as 25.5-point home favorites to the 0-5, the 0-5 Baylor Bears. Cowboys get the win. Mike Gundy and the guys, they get the win. They move on. They go to 5-1.
I think as long as Oklahoma State doesn't let their guard up, or
let their
guard down, excuse me.
Now they got to let that guard up.
They're getting the win in Stillwater.
Next game we've got, this is a team we haven't talked about. They just get into the rankings. We talked about them a lot in last year's because they've crept into rankings. Undefeated Navy going into Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis may be 3.5-point favorites, Brandon, but because of the rankings hitting the button, I picked against Memphis against the UCLA Bruins, not making that mistake again. Memphis upset win over the ranked midshipmen, and they get the win at home.
I'm going to go with Navy. I'm going to go with Navy coming in. Perfect 5-0 record, 3-0 in the American. They come in, they beat Memphis, take them out in front of the home fans.
Next game we've got, this one should be easy. We've got number 22 Central Florida, undefeated, 34-point favorites over 1-5 East Carolina. Brandon, who you picking?
UCF.
This one's easy. You got to go with the Golden Knights.
UCF.
Got to go with the Golden Knights, even though Blake Bortles or Storm Johnson are not going to be suiting up for them anytime soon. Go with UCF in that one. Then the next game. Brandon, tell me why Arkansas is going to beat Alabama, even though Alabama 30-point favorites at home against the Razorbacks.
I would be a bad person to tell you that because I couldn't come up with a reason why they would do it because they're not going to. Alabama probably had one of its, I don't want to say worst, I'll say worst, games last week in terms of how did you let Texas A&M be that close to you? I know the game was at Texas A&M, but with Alabama, it doesn't matter if it's at Texas A&M or if it's out in the Boondock Saints. So I think that
great movie, by the way.
Yeah, Alabama needs to come with the A game. I think they will this week. Arkansas is going to run up against a buzzsaw.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it to 2 words, Brandon, for my pick. You ready? Roll Tide. That's what I'm going to leave it at. Roll Tide. Then the next game, we've got another SEC matchup. 1-4 Missouri going into undefeated 4th-ranked Georgia. Georgia 31-point favorites. Got to go with the Dogs.
Got to go with Georgia, and Georgia's been playing such good football lately. Mizzou is all in shambles. Georgia with the win.
Then we go Big Ten. You got number 9 Ohio State going into Nebraska. Talked about last week how could Mike Riley be a lame duck coach for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Buckeyes 24-point favorites. Who do you got?
Nebraska is just, again, we've like you mentioned, we've talked about it. They've been in such a tough spot, this year, and what seems like quite a while, I think, for Nebraska fans in terms of getting back to something good. Ohio State's going to take care of business here. We're probably looking at about the same type of score that they put up against Maryland.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska upset the Buckeyes, but I don't think it's going to happen. I got to go with Ohio State in this one. Do not think Nebraska will be a team to upset the Buckeyes this year. Then we go to the American, as we will have South Florida playing this week, but their UMass game got canceled. They're going to play Cincinnati instead. You got 2-4 Cincinnati. We got 5-0 South Florida. South Florida right now, 24.5-point favorites. Who you got?
Oh, gosh, South Florida at home. They should handle that one with ease.
That one kind of snuck up on me. I'm going to go with the Bulls as well, but it snuck up on me because earlier I'm like, wow, UMass game looked like it was canceled. That's what it said here on the ESPN scorecard. Wasn't even expecting the Bulls to be here, but they are. Got to pick them to win this week at home. Then the next game, and to me, this is the most interesting. This is Ricky Widmer's most interesting game of the week. Most interesting matchup of the week. You got 4-1 Utah going into 5-1 and 13th ranked USC. Yes, USC is 12.5-point favorites. Utah's still a good team. Does Utah do the Utes, not 2 Utes, 1 Ute, get the win over the Trojans?
I don't think that Utah will be able to do it. I think that USC is going to get the win at home, but honestly, it's about time that Sam Darnold comes out and looks like the Sam Darnold that we all expected him to be this year.
The number 1 pick in the draft?
Yes, but with each passing week, Darnold, in my opinion, is slipping. From what people were looking at as that number 1 pick in the draft.
I mean, except for this past week, but he played Oregon State.
Yes.
It's easy to look like John Elway when you play Oregon State.
Yeah. Because we can both do it, too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say USC at home. It's a close one, but the USC defense also has to step up, too. I know we all look at Darnold, but the USC defense really also hasn't done a whole lot of great things for him. They've also helped keep other teams in games. That defense needs to come out, lights out, and then Darnold also needs to put up some points.
I think this one's closer than people expect, but I'm going to go with the Trojans in this one. This is one where, yeah, I know it's 12.5, but if you're going betting lines, I kind of almost want to take Utah in the points. I think that this could be a touchdown win for USC. Not super confident on that, but that's just what I'm feeling. I feel like this might be a tough game. USC doesn't struggle, but the Utes stay close. And if you're betting on the line, then it's take Utah on the points because they'll only lose by 7 points, not 14 points or 13 points. Next game we have 21 Michigan State. Talked about them earlier. 4-1 going into Minnesota. MSU is 4-point favorites. Do they get the win against the Gophers?
They do. They're a team that's riding high right now after beating, at the time, number 7 Michigan. At number 7 Michigan. This is just a team that is full of a lot of energy, and they're going to take that energy into Minnesota and come out 5-1.
Yeah, I'm going with the same thing. It could be a close game, could be a blowout for MSU. I am going to go with MSU in this one to beat the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Then we're down to our final 3. First one, we've got 3-2 Boise State going up against number 19th ranked San Diego State, undefeated. Who do you got, the Broncos or the Aztecs?
I'm going to go San Diego State at home again. Another win for them.
You know, the Aztecs are only 7-point favorites. It's a close game. You know what I'm going to do, Brandon? Hitting the button. Broncos with the win. BSU gets the upset special win in San Diego State over the Aztecs. First loss for the Aztecs this season. Then we got a pair of Pac-12 matchups. Number 5, Washington going up against 2-3 Arizona State on the road. Washington 17.5-point favorites. Who do you got?
Yeah, I don't think that this is too big of a matchup here for Washington. I think they continue to roll 7-0 for the Huskies.
Yeah, I think it stays right on. I don't care if it's in Tempe, Arizona. I don't even care where it is in the world. The Huskies get the win. They go on to 7-0. And then our last game, 4-2 Oregon, trying to overcome that bad loss they had last game to the Washington State Cougars. They go in, though, to a 23-ranked Stanford team that looked really good last week against Utah. Stanford, 10.5-point favorites. Who are you going with, the Ducks or the Cardinals?
I'm going to go with Stanford. Bryce Love has continued to really do some good things. Each game, he continues to stay strong, over 100 yards and a touchdown or a pair of scores. Running behind him, Stanford's going to get the win at home in California.
And I want to correct myself. I said Cardinals. It's just slip of the tongue there. I meant Stanford Cardinal. Didn't mean to put the S on it.
The Stanford Trees?
The Stanford Trees. I'm thinking NFL. I'm thinking Arizona Cardinals. A little slip of the tongue there. But I'm going to go Stanford as well. And I think this is another game that we see, like you said, Bryce Love. And I think this is another game where maybe those Bryce Love Heisman talks aren't necessarily too crazy at this point. I think you could have another game like he had last week, 150 yards, 1 touchdown at the minimum, as Stanford gets the home win over the Oregon Ducks. But this is where we turn it on to you. Who do you guys got this week? What are the big games you're looking for? Who do you think goes down? What are your upset specials? Let us know down below in the comment section. Also, if you're on Blog Talk Radio, this is going to make sense. If you're on YouTube, it's probably not, because this is the first video coming out. But this is the end of our full podcast. I want to thank you guys for either watching or listening. Go check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Just another way to help support the channel, than more so than watching, liking, subscribing, sharing on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you guys share our videos. Patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. I want to thank you guys once again for either watching and or listening. And as always, have a good day, everybody.